Some of the school districts actually did not have a very good gifted and talented program, but I'm assuming it's because of the budget that they have, because it is spread out through the whole district, and it's only 5%, like I said before. So
5% of revenue, they only get, what is it, 5%?
they get a 5% allotment of, they get a certain percentage, like it's 5%, but it's for,
money.
Each program has their own, and this is the 5% of their school budget that they get. So Sarah's gonna go ahead and talk about we conducted some interviews, so she's gonna go ahead and talk about that.
So we conducted interviews at 2 different schools with 2 different gifted and talented teachers. The first interview was at Colby Glass Middle School with Ms. Manning, who deals with GT students specifically from K through 5th grade. Ms. Manning does not have a homeroom class. All she does all day is work with GT students, so it's basically a form of special education. What we saw in our interviews is that overall she's, as a GT specialist, she's pretty happy with what she's seeing overall at Colby Glass Elementary, what she sees in her students. Let me go ahead and read a quick excerpt from that for you. The question posed to her, the elementary school teacher, was, do you feel as though gifted and talented students receive adequate community support? If yes, what type of community engagement is going on? If no, what would you like to see from community to support advanced learners? Her answer was, yes, we get adequate community support. We have our GTEAC council that meets regularly, and they provide support for parents, fundraising opportunities, to help offer grants, and we also provide with field trip opportunities. This year they get to go to the Briskio Western Art Museum. Another question that we asked her was, how does she feel about technology in the classroom? Do students have iPads or otherwise use learning apps? If so, what specific apps do they use? She said as far as GT goes, she's not sure what technology is offered or used. But in her classroom, she has between 8 computers and access to laptops and iPads. Technology is used to help with research and prepare for presentations on a regular basis. The second interview that we did was conducted at Seguin High School, which is a rural high school, with the AP chemistry teacher, Ms. Copeland. Ms. Copeland has also runs the science fair and has worked on GT boards in the past with her school. She said, when asked, how is technology used in an AP classroom? Do students have iPads or otherwise use learning apps? Her answer was, we use Google Classrooms for some assignments. The students also use the UT Quest homework system, which we have mixed feelings about. It is nice because they get automatic feedback as to whether they are right or wrong, and their assignments are graded automatically. They don't like it because it gives a narrow margin of error. I find it less supportive than other platforms we've used in the past, such as Sapling Learning, but it is cheaper. Other than Google Classroom, they are not particularly mobile device friendly, which means students need a computer or Chromebook to be successful. I do try to integrate computer simulations as often as possible, and it gives students a more concrete picture of otherwise abstract concepts. Further, she was asked, do you feel as though the integration of technology has helped your students be more successful? The PAGT and other simulations, yes, she said, because it allows them to connect their knowledge to something that provides visible results. The electronic course is a mixed bag. If they do it, take the feedback, and get more help, it's very valuable. They're just trying to get through with as little work as possible, it's not especially helpful. I might feel different if I were happier with my materials. So overall, what we see, she did also point out in her interview that GT almost receives very little attention once they reach the high school level. What people don't realize, and I didn't really think about this before we started researching this, is that AP, IB, and all the other extra, programs that are in a high school level are not GT. Once you reach the high school level, according to the research and the interviews that we did, what seems to happen is that schools feel that AP and IB programs replace GT. So students do lose out on opportunities to have field trips and some of the extra stuff that comes along with GT funding. So all in all, what we found is that GT programs are in general highly successful and very well supported in a primary school situation, not so much once they reach high school.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to the technology side a little bit more in depth, and Sarah has a video to show you about which involves a flipped classroom.
So one thing that is getting very popular at a high school level is the flipped classroom. For those of you that don't know or not familiar with the flipped classroom, basically what it means is teachers will record a video, which I'm going to show you an excerpt of. The students will receive a packet. We can kind of, if you want to pass this around, take a look at it while we're watching the video. This is an actual packet of a biology section from Seguin High School. The students do all of the work on iPads, at home, on computers, on school laptops, and then when they come to class, they're ready for demonstrations, labs, and discussions. The way this is a great integration of technology is because it really allows the teachers to have discussions, because as you'll see, all of the basics are done online behind the scenes. So here's a quick excerpt of that.
Well, aren't bacteria prokaryotes? They're single-celled organisms and have no nucleus or membrane that organelles, right?
Yes, you are correct. Do you know that bacteria are living or non-living?
I think that bacteria are living organisms, unlike viruses, which are non-living.
You've got it. Prokaryotes are classified into two domains, archaea and bacteria. The domain archaea has one key called archaeobacteria, which are bacteria that are called extremists.
So that's just an excerpt of what it is. This is a 6-minute video, so they're given in bite-sized lessons. The students have multiple units that they have to do, and there's a unit quiz at the end of each unit that they can always refer back to the video, and if they don't understand the video, then they can come to the classroom with their questions. So basically, it's a way to integrate technology seamlessly enough so that the teacher has less time lecturing and more time with one-on-one assistance or small group projects or group work like that. So that's a great way that technology is really being utilized in classrooms. It's also great for gifted and talented students because they can work ahead. They can have additional assignments and things like that that really help, and they can do additional investigation in classroom with the teacher because they've already finished the TEKS requirements at home. So it allows for extra investigation whenever there's extra time. Another great use of technology is in virtual dissections. I know this seems fairly science themed, but it's just one way where that's a big where cost is an issue. It allows teachers to give students an opportunity to do individual, basically, investigation. So this would be something, here you open.
Dorsal is the term used to describe an animal's top or backside.
Probably don't want to see too much of that one. But this is a frog dissection. It's online.
Yeah, show them just a little of it, because
Sure.
some may not be aware of the science.
Ventral is the term used to describe an animal's bottom or stomach side. Place your frog in a dissecting pan, dorsal side down. The frog's stomach area should be facing up.
Okay, that's okay.
That's enough there. So basically, this allows students, especially at Title I schools and things like that, to use technology, because all schools are going to have at least community laptops, and most of the students have a smartphone that there is now being introduced into the classroom as a learning tool, at least at a high school level and a middle school level, so that students can go, okay, our school can't afford 500 frogs to dissect, so instead of doing one frog with the teacher crowding everybody around, everybody can get on their phone or their iPad and follow along and get the same up-close results without having to share a frog. It's a little more personalized.
Okay, so now Justin's gonna go ahead and show you some apps that we found for the GT program to help kids at home.
Okay, so it's when I'm looking for apps, you really get bombarded with a lot of pretty much junk apps. I found a lot going through I use like the iPad, and going through like the App Store, you get thrown a lot at you. Two that I found that are really helpful. One's called Nearpod, and the other one is called Socrative. I think I said that right. Both of them are pretty much teacher and student oriented. Teacher would use one app, students use another app, and whatever the Nearpod, whatever the teacher wants the students to see, she could, or he or she could put it through all the tablets or the computers that they have, so they're all seeing the same thing. If they're doing something they're not supposed to, she can bring up that individual app or that individual iPad or computer and see what they're doing on their screen from hers. So without them even knowing that, you know, she's checking up on them. The other one that was like I said, yeah, Nearpod. The other one, Circuitive, is more of the putting up quizzes. So the student can take a quiz online. They'll get either instant feedback or go to the teacher, and the teacher can go ahead and do the feedback like that later on. Another apps that I found though, a lot of them are just apps that you can use at home with your kids, more than just educational game apps. Another one I found was pretty helpful was Seesaw, and it's an app to help you create portfolios of all your everything you've done. So it kind of helps kids at an early age start knowing how to collect all their work together, and so they have a record of everything they've done so far. But like I said, besides that though, it was really hard to try to sort through what apps are good, what apps are bad, and a lot of apps that make you pay for, or they have in-app purchases, so you can pay for more. So I can understand why like the technology part is a little bit harder, because you really get bombarded with just a whole lot of junk that doesn't really seem necessary.
Okay, so I did something a little bit different as far as the apps. I actually looked up, there's this website called Hoagie's Gifted Education page, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this around in a second, but this page actually had a bunch of different apps for students, educators, and for the kids as well. So the educators could learn a little bit more about GT, the parents could learn a little bit more, and then the kids have fun apps, learning apps for it. I actually tested out a couple of them on my computer. Google Earth was a really cool one. I looked at my old addresses on it, but there was also Go Be Challenge, which had like a bunch of different multiple choice questions on it, thousands of them actually, and it was just a really cool learning app, and that was actually for grades 4 through 8. But there's different learning apps on this page that it will show you. They range from prices less than $3. A lot of them are free, and they're for iPad or Android or for your computer too. But there were just some really cool apps that I would use for my own kids as well, and I'm actually going to use some of these for my kids. So I'm just going to pass it around so everybody can see. So in closing, we actually have another Powtoons presentation.
And if you're not familiar with Powtoons, this is another really great free app educators can use. There's also a pay app for it. This is a great way to really kind of like give a quick rundown with kind of a pop. It's a little different than the average PowerPoint.
stupid.